Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, I would say welcome to another episode, but we're all here. So, welcome to another installment of the Smart Business Series with the North Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce and brought to you by Overnight Success Studios. Today, we have our sponsor, Stephanie Lorette with Avalon Park West.
Walk?
Yeah.
Where do you want to walk to? You want to go to the park?
No, that way.
Okay. So we're here today because we're wanting to apply for a small business loan. We want to open our own ad agency.
Congratulations, you've been approved.
Even though you have nothing to say after 42 years.
Oh my God.
I love it. Shoot it, Dad.
Look at that fish. Look at the fish. Get it, get it. Hurry, kick the ball.
Go!
Beautiful. It's absolutely magnificent.
6, 7, and time. 5, 6.
What did you do at school today, Jade? Learn anything new?
Say something, Michael.
The body blankie is made of flannel, so having it on is like being in bed all the time. Night, sweetie.
Night, little man.
Thanks for having us. Avalon Park West is a master plan community under development on State Road 54 in Wesley Chapel. And when we were presented with opportunities to get involved with the North Tampa Bay Chamber this year, this was one of the events that we wanted to get involved in, because I don't know if you heard some of the commentary in the back that they said, oh, you've been approved for a small business loan. And that's one of the things that we like to do. We are a community where you can live, learn, work, and play. You can live. We hope that you'll open your business in Avalon Park West. Within the next few months, we'll be under design and permitting for the first phase of our downtown section, which the planning includes 2 office buildings, 2 mixed-use buildings, and a community park, all in this first phase. And we really encourage small businesses to get with us, see what opportunities there are. We often invest in small businesses that we see a future in and help them grow. And we really want to foster what you saw in that video, just a sense of place for people to live, learn, work, and play together. So if you have any questions, Marielle and I will be here afterwards and would be happy to talk to you a little bit more, but stay up to date with us on avalonparkwest.com for all of our updates on the development.
All right, so we all know that traffic is like a huge problem, right? We've all seen the Bruce be done. Still not really done. But here to talk to us today, we have Arlina Karuli from Enterprise. They're going to talk about their COMMUTE program. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her up now so she can tell us all about this Vanpooling program.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Arlina Karuli. I am an account executive at COMMUTE with Enterprise. And I'm here today to introduce vanpooling as an alternative method of transportation. You said it right. I mean, traffic, I don't think is going to go away. The Bay Area is only growing, which is great, right? We're bringing more businesses, we're opening more businesses, but we cannot keep up with the roads. We can only build so much. So what we're trying to do is kind of change the culture, right? We're used to, as Floridians, drive in our vehicle day to day to and from work, but those single occupancy vehicles are really affecting traffic. So we want to discuss some, again, alternative methods of transportation. And what I'd like to do is kick it off by a quick video. The video does a really good way of introducing, how the program works, and then it also gives an example of a company that's been using us for the last 13 years in Southern California. So it talks about how it grows and how it's really affected it.
And retention and recruitment within the company. The result? Employees could be more productive during their commute, getting work done, or just getting to know their coworkers. People felt valued, and they spread the word. Today, the company has over 1,200 employees, almost half of which use the rideshare program. Instead of driving their own vehicles, they use 67 vans. Instead of paying tolls and higher insurance premiums, employees saved $1.4 million in a year. The company has been able to increase employee retention, offer competitive benefits to recruits, and create a stronger company culture. Create smarter commutes. Attract and retain top talent. Commute with Enterprise.
Some of the key words that you guys heard throughout the video are employee benefits. Employee benefits because we want to be able to work with employers to be able to introduce this program to them. We want to have employees another option to get to and from work, and I know for some of them transportation seems to be an issue. Another key word on there was recruitment and retention. Being able to recruit top talent is challenging nowadays, so what we want to be able to do is increase that hiring platform. And if you're offering a commute option for your employees to get to and from work, it makes it a little easier for you to go out there and recruit and say, hey, I'm going to be able to provide the transportation for you. And so that leads us to HR. This is typically the people that we talk to introduce the program because, again, we want to make sure that they're aware this is a benefit to their employees. On top of that, HR is able to provide us with the data that allows us to analyze the people or identify the people that vanpooling is a great fit for. They have access to employee zip codes, they have access to the employee addresses. So typically what we do is we request that information with employee identifiers. When we do that, we plug in what we like to call a cluster map. So the cluster map helps us identify the people that will benefit from this program as far as cost saving goes or as far as traffic or stress. So what we've learned is people that are traveling 15 plus miles to get to and from work, so we're talking 30, 40, 50 minutes, they're coming to work more stressed out because, again, they're stuck in traffic the entire time, some road rage from time to time. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. So now if we're giving them this benefit of sharing a vehicle, maybe taking a nap on the car on the way to work, or being able to read a book, then they're coming to work more, less stressed, and they're ready to work. Otherwise, stress is going to reflect their productivity. So this is why we identify the vanpools with the HR team, because they do a better job at introducing it as a benefit. A quick sample of the cluster mapping that we typically use for. So we focus on 4 plus employees because that's where we think it makes financial sense for them to share that cost. And again, 50 miles plus to get to and from work is where we think that is really going to make that financial difference as well. So as you can see, the circle of people, that's the cluster that we identify. So we want to make sure that these are people that live within a few mile radius of each other. Because otherwise, if they're going around picking up everybody, again, we're focused on time. We want them to be less stressed coming into work. So if we recognize the people that live within 2 to 3 mile radius of each other and find a central meeting location for them, and we do help them through it, they're easy to identify because it's their neighborhood. So they're like, hey, there's a Target here, there's a Publix here, let's meet at that. So people that don't have a vehicle, they can ride their bicycle there, or if it's walking distance, that's another option. Or everybody can drive their personal vehicle, park at that particular location, and again, drive to work together. Great thing about it is a Publix or a Target, they don't mind us parking there at all because they know that once you come back, you're likely to go in there and spend some money. So they're like, that's fine with us. We do obviously walk them through confirmation, talk to the management team just to make sure the process is going well. But again, we want to make sure we focus on people that share the same corridor to and from work to make it convenient. We do currently have a few van pools that they don't have cars, so someone actually goes around, picks everybody up, and takes them to work. Again, this is, now we've got reliable employees because they're able to find the transportation to get there. And again, your retention is really gonna get reflected by it because they're likely not to leave you as an employer because, again, they have that transportation. So this kind of just gives a quick snapshot of how it works. Again, we're choosing the crew, and this could be 4 to 15 people. So we've got some great Nissan Pathfinders, so I'll show you a quick picture of what that looks like. I know when we start talking about van pooling, everybody thinks that, creepy white van or what you saw in that. So trust me, there's a variety of vehicle options that they get to choose from. As employer, if you want to subsidize the program, there's 90 types of vehicle models and makes that we could go through, and you guys have the option to choose that. Now, for the transit authority to pay for it, and we have a great relationship with T-BARDA, which is what I'm going to talk about in a bit here, they also subsidize it. And for them to subsidize the program, it has to be 70% American-made. So those are the vehicles that there's a restriction to as far as options go. But again, 4 to 15 people, so the creepy van, if you want to ride in it, we have the 15 passengers. And it's a great option because it's a shared cost. Think about that. You drive every day to and from work and how much you're spending on gas. If you share with 15 other people, I mean, think about the value in that. Again, we help you find a central meeting location, alternate driving duties. If I had this option, because again, I go venue to venue, so I don't think anybody will follow me on this, but alternative driving options, I would have the option to sit in the back and just, if I could take a nap on the way to work, I think that'll be ideal for me. But again, if you choose to read a book on the way to work, if you work, we've got people coming from Lakeland. I'll talk about some of the existing van pools that we currently have. I mean, think about how much you can get done within an hour, right? And then enjoying the ride. Typically what we like to do is have a few people assigned as drivers. So if somebody's on vacation, we do have another option for someone else to drive. So some of the vehicles that we have. The most popular one that we have in our fleet right now is the Nissan Pathfinder. It's a 7-passenger vehicle. And again, with 50% occupancy, 4 people is really what you need to keep that car on the road and keep that T-BARDA subsidy that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But again, as you see some of the options on here, I mean, we've got Chevy Tahoes, Suburbans, the Durangos. Again, 50% of our fleet is a Nissan Pathfinder just because it's a little quicker to get on the road with less people, 5, 6 people are comfortable in it. Now, why enterprise? Again, through our partnership with T-BARDA, they really chose COMMUTE with Enterprise because of the vehicle options, obviously because of the fleet, we're able to be supportive on that aspect. Not just that, but one of the questions that we really get asked is the maintenance thing, how does that work out? We take care of the maintenance. Everything is going to be covered once we put on the vehicle on the road. What we typically like to do is schedule the first few maintenances with the employee. That way, you kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And as a reward for them to do that, we give them an extra 200 miles per month to use the vehicle for personal use. So whoever gets to take that car home with them, they also get to go to the grocery store, do some minor things if they need to, and their family is also allowed to ride in it, so there's no restrictions. So if they choose to take their kid to soccer on a Saturday, and at that point, I wouldn't even want to own a car because, again, you have the option to use this if needed. 24-hour roadside assistance, and the good thing about that, too, is if the car does break down, if something happens, I'm sure you guys have seen Enterprise locations nearby. They're also available to fill in with vehicles if one is needed. Full protection program. So on the rate, and I know this is something that, question that comes up quite often, If someone that does not have a car, can they ride that as well? Absolutely. So the coverage is going to be included in the vehicle, bumper to bumper, up to total loss. And there's no deductible payout. So if they get into an accident, we take care of it, we replace the vehicle, and then they're good to go from there. As far as liability goes, they also get $1 million in liability. So if they cause damage to a third party, we're also able to cover that car up to $1 million. So don't hit a Ferrari or anything above that, please. Selection of models, again, we discussed the options on there. We do keep the fleet very new, so we cycle them out every 6 months to a year. So they're riding in brand new smelling cars throughout. As soon as that smell goes away, we give you a new one. And the great thing about it, it's a month-to-month convenience. So if this is a program that a group of people think, hey, me and my neighbors drive to work every day, let's try this out. Hey, I don't like them so much, they're welcome to go ahead and return the vehicle back. We really, once we get a Vanpool on the road, it's quite a while until we actually see that vehicle return back, which is fantastic. But again, they do have that month-to-month convenience, so if they choose to, they can return the vehicle. So one of the things that we discussed, again, getting time back. As you guys can see on the picture here, somebody's watching funny videos, somebody's working on the way to work, and someone's just listening to music. So this is something that you can enjoy on a day-to-day basis. Going green, I think this is a phenomenal one. A lot of companies, typically what they like to do is focus within the four walls, right? We try to recycle, we try to use less paper. I'm sorry, I know I put paper in front of you, but I wanted to make sure you guys had an idea what it looked like. But again, there's a few things that we do within the four walls of the business, and we need to start looking beyond that, right? We need to focus on, hey, what can we do as a company outside of here? How can we get our employees to and from work with other options? So you're providing convenience for them, but now you're also saving 12,500 pounds of CO2 emission per vehicle that you're taking off the road. Good thing about this is we provide all the data. For T-BAR to receive their funds through FDOT, they have to provide the mileage data, they have to provide the sustainability proof, what the cost savings is. So throughout this, the great thing is that as a company, you're able to say, hey, we saved 3 million pounds of CO2 emission by providing this option to our employees. And you didn't really do much about it. You're simply introducing it. Great thing is there are employers out there that are also contributing to the program. One of the great things about Florida is there's an option for you to become best commuters in best company for commuters, and it's a free program to register in, versus everybody else in America has to pay about $250. So this is something that you can also take advantage of, and I think it's only by paying $30 towards each Vanpool for the employee. So again, now you're contributing to that. As an employee, if it's going to be through your payroll, it is a payroll deduction option, and it's not taxable. So this is something to consider as well. We talked about enjoying the ride. Obviously, everybody in the picture looks really happy, plus their employees, but I'm kidding. And then going back to saving money, and I'm going to show you guys a quick overview of what that cost looks like, the breakdown for everyone. But one of the great things that I keep touching back up on is the local transit authority pays $400 a month towards the program. So they're taking a great chunk of that out. So that could go towards the fuel, it could go towards the tolls, it could go towards the car. Again, the overall cost of the vehicle, $400 of that is coming off right away. On top of it, and this is a big concern, emergency ride home program. Hey, I'm not feeling too well at work, I need to get home. Do I wait for everybody to take me there? No, you guys do have the option to go ahead and call a cab. Through T-BARDA, they do have an emergency ride home program where you're able to register and receive vouchers for it. So the vouchers are up to $100, and you get them 4 times a year. We're looking at ways to improve that. Right now it's just a piece of paper, and I know we don't like pieces of paper in our pockets. But what we're doing, we're working through with like mobile apps to get the Ubers, obviously kind of catch up with everything that's going on around us. But again, that's a great option that is available to everyone, to where they can choose to go ahead and take a cab home, pay with that voucher, and then just kind of go from there. Now, one of the good things about it, I know that in the beginning, employers see that concern as, hey, this is a liability to me. What is this going to cost me if something does happen? Because it's an outside of work thing, because you're providing them simply to and from work option, the employer holds no responsibility at all. Again, this is just a transportation method. If they get hurt in their personal vehicle driving to work, or they take the bus or the bicycle, it's same as that. This is just something a bit reliable as far as transportation than waiting for the bus. As far as the cost of the Vanpool, this is something that I recently, was someone from the Coast Guard that we recently put on the Vanpool program. So as you can see, the vehicle cost, and again, that's going to include insurance, the collision and the liability, is $1,050. We took the fuel. So normally the way we figure that out is by the mileage. We get the distance where they're traveling from, where they're going to. Again, I mentioned some Vanpools do the full round circle, pick everybody up. So if that's the case, we list everything just because we want to make sure we know exactly what that fuel is going to cost them. Great thing is they do get a fuel card as well for the Vanpool that comes loaded monthly with the expected amount. Okay, so they get the $223, and then they also get a toll pass. And what we figured here, $48 is what the cost of the toll is going to be. So once we take the total cost, we're looking at $1,321 for the full cost. And then when we remove the $400 TBARTA subsidy, as you can see, with 6 riders, they're paying $153 per month. So they're paying less in a Vanpool and putting less wear and tear on their personal vehicle, paying less on an insurance premium. I'm sure everybody has to declare how many miles you're traveling to for the full year, and that's going to reflect the cost of your insurance premium. So now you're paying less on your insurance, and again, the wear and tear on your personal vehicle, when you start looking at this, you pay more on fuel going to and from work than you would just ride sharing with someone else. One of the great things on this particular case is the Coast Guard. So for all federal employees, on top of the TBARTA subsidy, they also get a federal transit benefit. It's up to $265 per month. So now when we talk about some of the ones that we're working with now, the James A. Haley VA Hospital, Bay Pines VA Hospital, those employees get an additional $265 per month that goes towards the Vanpool. So now when you have 4 or 5 people in this Vanpool, the $153 is obviously covered for. This is a free ride for them, which a lot of what we have right now is federal government business because of that. So we want to be able to kind of introduce this to the private sector, show some value in it, and hopefully reflect some of the traffic. I know it wasn't that great coming here today, unfortunately. Now, as far as the accounts that I talked about, now people think that this is a brand new program, right? It's great, it exists, it's here. It's been around for 20 plus years. It was previously known as V-Ride, and they had about 88 vehicles 2017 when Enterprise acquired them. So with Commute with Enterprise, as of right now, it's 153. I haven't updated yet. So we've got 153 vehicles on the road, almost doubled that amount. And there was no local support as far as an account executive. I only started about 6 months ago with this particular division at Enterprise. So I'm extremely excited to kind of go out there, introduce the program, and make sure that we bring a bit more awareness, just as we're doing today. Our current Commute with Enterprise accounts, some of them are McDill, James A. Haley. Again, everything you see on here is federal right now. And I'm excited to say that we're working with quite a bit of private sector just because they're seeing that need. And it goes beyond that recruitment or retention. It goes beyond the sustainability. Now we're talking about parking cost. And to build a new parking, I know you guys, looking at downtown Tampa or anything above here, those prices are rising. Not just that, but we're looking at maintaining the parking. So this is just a quick map of where everything is right now. I mean, you can tell all the way up Zephyr Hills area, all the way down south of Apollo Beach, St. Pete, and then up almost close to like the Lakeland area. So we want to be able to hopefully fill that map up. I want it to look like it has chicken pox, please. So again, one of the things that I touched up on parking. We recently met with Tampa General Hospital, and this is some of the numbers that we showed them. They currently have 8,000 employees, and just by doing 10%, so 10% of those employees would be 800. Okay, so 800 employees, and what I did was a rough estimate, about 6. Again, 5 to 6 is where we find it makes financial difference for people that are paying out of pocket for it. We're looking at 133 potential vans out of that. Now, they have been looking at parking options, parking garages. I think they have about 4 or 5 parking locations outside of the actual hospital itself. And I know that you have to have seniority to actually park in the garage. So imagine going to work, and then you have to take a shuttle to get to work, and so you have to account for that extra time. So we're hopefully working on trying to get some locations on the hospital to encourage the program. When I did the math, just because I wanted to show a rough estimate, I think 13,000 when we presented this to the T-BARTA Board of Directors and commissioners look at it and they said 13,000 is a low number. But again, I just want to show a rough estimate of what it would look like. 667 spots is what we would look as far as saving them. At $13,000, that's more than $8 million, right? This is what a new facility would cost them versus I did the math on them subsidizing for 133 vans, it's about $1 million. So now you've got happy employees coming to and from work, and you've got, you're saving $7.5 million in trying to build a new facility because you're giving them this new option. And again, this is everything that we track and we're able to provide on a monthly or quarterly basis. So you can start seeing the value in the program. Commute miles, again, now we're taking so many vehicles off the road, 667 of them. So we're looking at 60,000 miles that we're taking away for single occupancy vehicles. Can you imagine taking 667 vehicles away from downtown Tampa, trying to go to Davis Island, the island alone? So again, there's success in it. And then also we're looking at the CO2 reduction. In emission, we're looking at about 8 million pounds. And most of all, the employee savings close to that $7 million. So again, those are the biggest focuses that we have, the recruitment and retention, the sustainability piece, and then looking at the cost of building a new facility. We truly believe that there is potential in the program, and we want to make sure that you kind of introduce it and again, get it out there to the private sector to make sure that we make a difference in our traffic, our daily traffic. That'll be all for today. Did you guys have any questions for me?
So you've been around for 20 years. That's
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yes.
For that. How does the Wesley Chapel area look in your pinpoints and your zip codes that you've looked at? Are there lots of opportunities in our area here?
Absolutely. And one of the great things what we're doing with Wesley Chapel is working it backwards. Normally what we like to do is we work with the employer because, like I said, they have the data, right? They have the zip codes, they have those reports that we're able to identify the van pools. With Wesley Chapel, what we're actually working is backwards. We're working with the communities. I know that they have mayors in particular locations for the communities. So we're actually introducing it to those boards. And we're focusing it, again, opposite, trying to introduce as people are coming into the new locations, real estate, right? Hey, this is an option. You and your 20,000 neighbors could be all going to downtown Tampa. Here's what we can do for you. Let's introduce this van pooling program. This is an option. So I'm really, really excited. This is why I really wanted to be here today to kind of just continue filling in on that, is working through the community and changing the culture versus working through the employer.
I suppose we have a lot of communities here.
Absolutely, yes.
So is there any program for salespeople that are always on the road?
Unfortunately, this is not going to be a great fit. That's a good question. We understand it's not going to be a good fit for everyone. Obviously, if we've got parents dropping kids off to school or stopping elsewhere before they get to it, it's not going to work for everyone. So normally what we do when we've found that cluster is we like to have what we call formation meetings. So in that formation meeting, we don't want too many people because then it gets a little crowded. We want about 10. 10 is a great fit, and right away those people are eliminated. So like I said, we've got the ones that are just salespeople that are stopping at a different location. So it goes down to the 4 to 6 is what we end up with, the people that are driving shifts, and they've got the same schedule, and they have the same day-to-day routine, basically.
Are they thinking going down the road that they're, oh, I'm sorry, thank you. My voice carries. Are they thinking at all, excuse me, about doing anything on not just through the business side, but through individuals? So if, again, there's a cluster of individuals that live in a community and they all happen to work someplace and the employer doesn't want to, doesn't think it's viable or just isn't in the mode of doing it, can they form their own group and then come to enterprise and say, hey, look, we want to do this as individuals versus through a business?
Absolutely, and that's something that I talked to the city of Tampa as well about, is, hey, we've got groups of people that live within the same neighborhood, and they're only driving to the downtown area, but they don't all work at the same place. Absolutely, because they can, again, ride together and park at a garage, and then they kind of just go to their job places. So it's not particularly with the employer. Again, it just makes it a little easier for us. That way, that's one of the options, but this is why we want to be able to introduce it to the community. And I know we've had a few news channels that have gone out and done quick introductions of vanpooling. It's just about bringing awareness. So if they decide to, we're happy to provide that vanpool for them, get them on the road.
So as a developer, we're required to have so many parking spaces for our residential, for our mixed use, for our office space. And seeing that you could reduce parking spaces and obviously the huge expense in building those parking spaces and the space to have them. Are you working with local governments to be able to incentivize developers, builders to be able to work on programs like this, and so they're not being required to have that same parking requirement?
We're trying. That's what I'm actually meeting with the commissioner Pasco right after this. So that's kind of what we're trying, is working with mayors or the government forces to see how else they can incentivize the program, how else, because again, traffic has become a big issue, and like you said, the cost of that parking. So when it comes to the taxable part of it, we're not there yet. But as far as this, we're absolutely exploring those options.
Hi. So hypothetically, in a household of 2 cars, would the family be able to, get rid of a car and the insurance on that car, and then replace it with this vanpool option?
That would be ideal. Yeah, absolutely.
And then just keep one for personal trips and things like that.
Absolutely. And a lot of the people that I've spoken to now, that's one of the things that say, hey, you know what? I need a car. And this is my car, is what we use to go on vacation or do this or go to the grocery, and my spouse simply goes to and from work. So that's one of the great things about it is, if we give them an option, they can absolutely eliminate that vehicle, and that's the goal. Again, now that's one less car on the road for us, and then it goes back to putting somebody in their pocket because they're not worried about an extra insurance, they're not worried about extra vehicle and the maintenance on that. They have an option to get to and from work.
Yeah, and about the insurance, is that blanket insurance on the vehicles? So for any riders, like medically?
The riders, no. The riders, they're going to be covered under their insurance.
Their own insurance?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Medical.
What companies would be a good fit, or what type of companies are you targeting right now?
Typically, the companies, one of the few that I mentioned right now that we're working with, again, hospitals, even looking at existing accounts. But we're also talking manufacturing companies, all companies that, again, have a parking issue. Ones that have, 300 plus employees is a great fit. And if they're shift workers, it makes it even easier because, again, we can kind of pair them up in groups, and it makes it a little easier for us. Good question. Any more questions? Perfect. I guess I touched up on everything. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It was great talking about it.
So my name is Hope Allen. I'm the president and CEO of North Tampa Bay Chamber. And my aha moment was that this program's been around for 20 years. It blows my mind that they've been innovating this and doing this. And I can't wait to share their story and help you promote it more with some of the development that's happening up here in Wesley Chapel. So that was my aha moment.
Right. I'm Ray Hendricks with Align Right Realty, known as Real Estate Ray. My aha moment was I just didn't know that Avalon Park had as much as it had. Wine is good. Actually, and with the enterprise program, just reducing our carbon footprint, I've kind of gotten into saving the planet a little bit. So I hugged a couple of trees on the way over. But that a big company of that magnitude is actually that concerned about our carbon footprint and just being able to get people to work stress-free, because we know we've all been in traffic. We know how that is.